time to move on kind of thing. Like those guys definitely were move somewhere for a year or two and then move on to the next city kind of thing. So, which I was too, but I met somebody here. I had no reason to go anywhere else.
Stick around.
Yeah.
Cool. So, do you still follow graffiti? Do you still watch it? Do you still?
I still look for it. Like when I'm out on my bike or driving around, I'll still, I'm always going to see it. I'm always going to notice it. I'm always going to stop and look at stuff. Excuse me. Like even when I'm out on my bike, along Highway 30, there's train yards out there. I'm always getting yelled at by teammates to pay attention to what's in front of me. Because I'm always like constantly looking over at the trains. But I'm not big on, scouring the internet for what's the latest or anything like that. Like I go to 12 ounce all the time, but even then, there's 2 threads that I check, and neither one of them has anything to do with graffiti. So.
That's cool. How do you think it's changed? I ask everyone this, but I'm just curious, like
how's graffiti changed?
Yeah, and what your perspective is on what's happening now.
I don't know.
Did the internet kill graffiti?
I don't think so. I think if the internet has had any influence on graffiti, it's made it easier for people to copy other people's styles, I think. I guess magazines too, but it seems like magazines aren't even as big as they were even 10 years ago. I guess if there wasn't the internet, people would probably do a lot more painting, I would assume. They wouldn't waste 2-3 hours a day looking at graffiti. They'd be out there doing it.
So, I keep going back and forth, but now with like the art that you're doing, are you still are you still sort of looking at it in terms of letters? Because I almost see more architecture or I see more of that influence than the letters in some of them.
It's weird because I'll start out with letters, but then I'll break it down even into their like simplest form. Like I always start with the O and I'll draw the O, and sometimes I'll start out with it just being really, really wacky, and then I'll just break it down into a really, really simple form, and then I'll go to the K, and same thing, I'll just kind of make it wacky, but then just break it down. And it seems like when I start out with each letter, it looks more like graffiti, but then once it's all broken down, it looks more like just a design shape or, like an architectural shape, and less like graffiti. So that by the time it's a finished product, whether it's on the computer, on a piece of paper, or on a canvas, like it just doesn't look like graffiti to me anymore, and I don't think it looks like graffiti to anybody else. So, but the influence is still there. It's still based in letters. There's a lot of stuff I'm doing now where it's just like a close-up section of an entire piece. It doesn't look like anything. It just looks like shapes. But it's still based in letters. It's still based off graffiti.
Cool. Do you have any other influences? Any major influences besides, there's graffiti and architecture and anything else?
I would say graphic design. There's a lot of graphic design influence. No one in particular, or no firm in particular, but there are definitely some standouts that I do think do really cool stuff. I couldn't tell you their names, unfortunately. just stuff that I see that I think is really cool. I think Design Republic might be one of them. They've done some really cool stuff in the past. But having a lot of graphic design friends, that part definitely comes out in what I do.
Cool. Trying to think if I have any other questions. Did you ever get into, I guess, more in depth into the whole train culture?
Not really. I think, when Hai and Felm were living here, and I wouldn't say that I was strictly painting freights, but I was painting freights a lot more. And I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was just really, really cool, really fun. But I never really got heavy into freight culture or anything like that.
So was that mostly Hai and Fallon's influence? I mean, were they
I would
really
say,
into trains when they came here?
I would say Hai was strictly into freights, totally into freights. And I would say he had a lot of influence on me painting freights, if not complete influence on me painting freights. He was just really, really good at it. So if I'm going to learn from anybody, it must be somebody who's really good at it.
Do you have any idea how many you painted? How many you have out there?
Oh, no.
Hai seemed to, based on my limited experience, trading with him, seems like he would send me a photo and on the back he would say which number it was. And he kept...
Yeah.
Seems like he kept really good track of everything he painted.
He was really well at documenting what he was doing, and to the point of where pieces were numbered, or every piece had to have a quote from a Black Sabbath song. He was just he was just really meticulous about that kind of stuff, which was great. That was awesome. But how many I've done, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
No guess?
I would say maybe 150.
Okay.
Which isn't very much compared to a lot of people, but it's all right.
No, it's kind of hard to... I didn't mean to pin you down on that, but I was just curious.
Definitely not as much as Hai. But, there was 1 year where I didn't paint walls at all. I just painted frames.
So have you had any legal entanglements from graffiti? Have you ever been...
Just those two things in
California?
In California. I got arrested here once, but it was thrown out because they had no evidence. A couple times in DC. I think that's it.
Do you have any gnarly chase stories or anything?
There was a chase out here in Portland. I believe it was me, Jets, Hai, and I think it was Kane, my friend Kane. We were painting at a layup off of Highway 30, and it's just this one spot where they normally laid up 6 or 7 cars at a time. But it was off the road and kind of down a little bit, so we were painting there and didn't hear the cops till the last second when they were already walking around with flashlights and stuff, and so we just kind of all scattered. And the way the layup was, there was the track that ran along the road, but then there was a track that kind of went off, had a 90-degree turn and went across the river. And before it got to the river, it passed this building off to the left-hand side that was just all night long was just lit up daylight. Never really thought about anything about it, but that night that we got chased, I ran towards the river along those tracks and stopped. And then before the tracks went across the river, it kind of went, there was a hill that went down to the left toward that building. And so the hill
Before or after the river?
Before the river.
Okay.
So that, there's a hill that goes down, and then it goes back up, and then there's that building. So I'm kind of sitting on the side of that hill part that's going down, and I'm looking at the building, and I can see all these people not all these people. I'd say there's like 5 or 6 people like moving around